那今天要跟大家介绍商业卡兰。那商业卡兰这个课程其实是普通卡兰的进阶版。在商业卡兰当中，你会学到很多的商业用语。商业卡兰和一般卡兰最大的差异的地方，就是在商业卡兰当中，你会有比较多的解释，老师的补充通常都非常的长，你要回答的问题还有句子的长度，应该也是在原本的普通卡兰的2倍。但商业卡兰可以训练到你的商业英语能力，并且我觉得这是一个很好的方式来认识一些艰深难懂的词汇。可是它在里面的单字当中都是属于商业范畴的，所以我觉得在行销还有在做生意方面都常常用到的。所以我觉得这个是一个很好入门艰深难懂单词的一个课程。要做商业卡兰的话，你在原本的卡兰必须要在阶级8以上。然而系统最推荐上商业卡兰的等级是在原本的卡兰等级你要达到等级10。那我们就来看一下到底商业卡兰是如何进行的。
Progress was 80. The last had word stable. So this time, let's have your daily revision. Okay, so let's start. Here it is. What kind of due diligence is it wise to carry out before one commits to investing money in someone else's business? What kind of due diligence is it wise to carry out before one commits to investing money in someone else's business? Before one commits to investing money in someone else's business, it's wise to gather detailed information on the business and analyze the level of risk involved in the investment. Now, why is it usually harder for small companies to prevent fraud than large companies? Why is it usually harder for small companies to prevent fraud than larger companies? It's usually harder for small companies to prevent fraud than large companies because owing to lack of resources, they often don't have the necessary controls in place for this. Very good. Now, why do consumers often choose to buy goods on credit even though it would be more economical in the long run to pay upfront? Why do consumers often choose to buy goods on credit even though it would be more economical in the long run to pay upfront? Consumers often choose to buy goods on credit
even though
it would be more economical in the long run to pay upfront because it allows them to spread the cost over a long period. Okay, very good. Okay, thank you. Let's have your new work this time. Okay, repeat solvent. Insolvent. Insolvency. Bankrupt. Bankruptcy. Okay, now listen. A company is insolvent if it has greater liabilities than assets and is therefore unable to pay its debts when they are due. When a company is insolvent, it may have to go into liquidation. If a company is legally declared insolvent, we can use the term bankrupt. An individual person, for example, a sole trader, can also be declared bankrupt. Note that in the UK, and certain other countries, the legal term bankrupt is only used for people. Companies are declared insolvent instead. Let's practice. Is it crime in most countries to carry on trading as normal after discovering that your company has become insolvent? Is it a crime in most countries to carry on trading as normal after discovering that your company has become insolvent? Yes, it's a crime
Yes, it's a crime
in most countries
in most countries
to carry on trading
to carry on trading
as normal
as normal
after discovering
after
that
discovering
your company
that your company
has become insolvent.
has become insolvent.
Why? Why? Because in most countries,
Because in most countries,
you're guilty of fraud.
you are guilty of fraud
If you allow creditors,
if you allow creditors,
suppliers,
suppliers,
customers,
customers,
etc., to
etc.
believe
to
you're
believe
solvent
you are solvent
when you know
when you
you
know
are not.
you are not.
Okay, explain how the legal term bankrupt is used differently depending on how or where you are in the world. Explain how the legal term bankrupt is used differently depending on where you are in the world. In some countries,
In some countries,
the term bankrupt
the term bankrupt
can be used to describe
can be used to describe
both companies
both companies
and individual people.
and individual people,
Whereas in the UK
whereas in the
and
UK
certain other countries,
and certain other countries,
bankrupt is only used
bankrupt is only used
for people.
for people.
Companies are declared
Companies are declared
insolvent instead.
insolvent instead.
Now, what are the nouns of the adjectives insolvent and bankrupt? What are the nouns of the adjectives insolvent and bankrupt? The nouns of
The nouns
the adjectives
of the
insolvent
adjectives insolvent
and bankrupt
and
are
bankrupt are
insolvency
insolvency
and bankruptcy.
and bankruptcy.